Okay. Hello, everyone. It should be live. Okay. So, dear viewers, recently, I had a very, bit of a reality check. And so, as the days are going by, I am becoming more convinced that I have not been anything specific ever. Because to maintain that specificity is impossible. It's like a person thinking, yo, I'm this kind of person, and just going through life with that archetype and realizing, no, it's incomplete. There are moments where we may feel like a supreme yogi, and there's moments where we will feel like the least supreme. And it's okay, because we are not here to be supreme beings, because it wouldn't make sense. I have spent maybe like close to a decade pretty much after realizing that every human being has access to consciousness. Let's say you wanted to take even a scientific method, you are the most important experiment that is going on in this cosmos as a conscious entity. Now, I ask myself, who do I want to be? Do I want to be, the same kid when I was young, who had just accepted a feeling for the world, had accepted that it's just, sometimes I feel this world is designed for the beings in it to think that there are ways out of it, but there is no way out of here externally, I find. Because the idea is that the nature of the design, this was this year's realization. I had a very profound experience this year, and I'll just give you my experience. This year I had this very unique experience in this very unique state, and I found myself for a moment acknowledging the divine presence of the room I was in at the time when this experience was happening. For a moment it suddenly dawned on me that I have been scared of the idea of death. I've been scared of death, but it's something that's part of the roller coaster. Imagine you get on a roller coaster, you're in the middle of a roller coaster, and in some sense you're afraid of the ending of the roller coaster. And so for the first time in my life, it was this very unique moment where I was alone, but I felt I wasn't. I felt there was a presence in the moment, and I was just shouting. For the first time in my life, I witnessed myself shouting at the angel of death. Just this idea, okay, shouting at the angel of death that you want to come and take me. I will walk to you. I will show you where to go. And so after that experience, I decided not to fear the design of the program consciousness finds itself in. This life is so incredible. When you're younger, life may give you the privilege of giving you not perfection, but just like certain moments that your intelligence doesn't have any pattern to resist, so it is perfect. But when in this life, what you come to see And this is something very remarkable. I don't think a lot of people talk about this. They say you meet so many other people, you meet different things, this life is about, so many people have told me, yo, we're in this world to accumulate new experiences. It's not about saving the world, saving the planet, all of this, right? I have this playful thing where at nights when I go to sleep at the end of the day, for a moment I just sit back and, just playfully in my mind as if I was a commander of my life. And for a moment I consider, was the day a defeat or was the day a victory? And my analysis is that if the world looks the same the next day, I have been defeated. In these talks of mine, I'll get to the title, guys. I'll get to that. Just want to get some stuff out. Pretty much I'm saying that I've realized it was as if when I was younger I was trying to be complete, but now after 31 laps around the sun, I am seeing the incompleteness. But the incompleteness doesn't scare me because it is a part of it. Do you see? We're like candles in a dark cosmos, flickering for some time for ourselves and our fellow species, trying to create some glow of meaning in the void. There is something very profound in yoga, and it is called Turiya. And Turiya is this idea that you as a being are experiencing like the bewildered beast or that conscious entity. You are experiencing like three basic states as a human being. You are experiencing your conscious waking state, where I'm giving this talk. You experience a dream state, and you also experience a deep sleep state. In deep sleep, there is no ego, there is no agenda, there is no person to get enlightened. There's nothing there. Deep sleep is the universe's way of saying that we are capable of being nothing, but also are capable of being nothing. And then I would say the dream state is in some sense a suggestion. Like if you think about the clues of like why we're experiencing these states, right? So it's as if the deep sleep state is there to show the being in some sense you can be nothing. It's necessary to be nothing sometimes. And then there's also moments where your body, the existence of your body is absent, but the existence of the experience of your mind is present. This is a dream state. In a dream, your mind is giving you a body to experience and move in. So the dream state is proof that we can still experience a body even if we are not conscious of our biological body. Okay? This might sound bizarre, but in some of my dreams, I have not been a person experiencing the dream. I have just been a viewer, an unknown viewer. So we have deep sleep, dream state, and now what is the conscious waking state? The conscious waking state is here to show your existence a physical existence. Do you understand how beautiful, amazing materialism is? Materialism is so incredible that a psyche could be like, yo, I don't like this object, and the matter doesn't care. Somebody could be like, yo, tree, you're an evil tree, and the tree in some sense is not even an entity that speaks. Some people can just touch a tree and feel, but you know. So what I'm trying to say is that objects don't care. Minds can care. That which is beyond the mind is what we are caring about. You know, there has been times in this life where I have felt that I have been in a tug of war, as if imagine two ideological systems pulling, like one pulling my right hand, the other pulling my left hand, and in the middle, right, we're in a world right now, okay, where in psychology there's a consideration of something. They don't know all about it, they don't know everything about it, but the idea is there's something called psychological fragmentation. Okay, this means that it's normal to be an individual, but if you have experiences, traumatic experiences, PTSD, or something of that intensity, it means that your brain, your intelligence in this lifetime experienced an incomplete self-simulation. Life is not about what we do with moments that we complete and feel victorious. It is about managing all the moments that we were incomplete beings. But the mystery goes beyond, because Turiya is the fourth state. Turiya means that which the experience of the conscious waking, experience of the dream state, which the experience of deep sleep are the same. And the clue is in deep sleep. The truth of reality is formless. And these formless beings, these formlessly activated, formed beings, that means causally formless, unchanging energy, you know, but on the effect side, you know, it's like, man, I'm just, you know, some creature on a rock in the middle of nowhere. You know what I'm realizing? Anybody who thinks, I think this is a good thing to say, I think this is a good consideration, just a viewpoint, important viewpoint. But I think anybody who feels happy in this world is ignoring something. Anybody who feels completed in a changing world is ignoring something. And if you do feel complete, most likely you are not human, because the human cannot be complete, because it has a future left. Do you understand? It's like a being. Imagine there was this very advanced being, very advanced soul, and this advanced soul appeared in this world and was like, yo, what is the point? Why am I here? Why are we all here? Why is our attention here at all? And do you know how many people, it's just enough you give them something and they're like, thank you, and they stop wondering. Do you understand? Your expectations are your greatest enemies. You know, that means if let's say person A, you know, I experienced something very unique this week. You know, I'm a person who I tend to communicate usually efficiently with people, you know, but I was sending out emails, you know, to request interviews, and there was this channel which I, like, in 2014 to 16 had like a huge influence on me. Okay, it was like a very, very like important YouTube channel, right? A YouTube channel where I'd shared the videos of it even, right? So I reached out to these guys, and of course, you know, they couldn't, but at the time I was a bit tired and exhausted, you know, it was at night, and the way I responded back was a bit, you know, unprofessional and egotistical, you know?
Whereas, like, when I would go with the class with Leah, I feel more relaxed because she's always so, like,
And so, it's like life is cool, because sometimes it shows you what you thought you know. It shows you what you thought you were, you know. And so, when I sent emails back and forth, with this YouTube channel I was fond of, and I wanted to interview the creators on the In Around podcast I have. But, it wasn't, I guess it wasn't meant to be, and of course, I also miscommunicated. But it was a very important experience for me. Why? Because I began to realize that, even if we do feel we are worthy, it may also be that we're unworthy. Do you understand? That means the worthiness of our being to go through an experience is not just dependent on what we think. Right? Somebody does something nice to someone, imagine, and then they do something bad, and the person's like, yo man, I didn't deserve that. But how do you know? How do you know all the times you have been deceived deserved it? Guys, I don't know why this should be... Okay, it's back, I think. So anyways, I'm just trying to say that, what is going on this planet, let me tell you this. Spirituality shifted beyond archetypes the moment I realized I'm not a character in a story. The moment I realized I'm not a character in a story, all the people since my childhood I had seen that claimed to be spiritual, claimed to be religious, claimed to have divine connections, all of them seemed like kindergartners who are putting masks. Like, imagine it's Halloween and all the kids are like dressed going trick-or-treating. It's like ritualism sometimes can be, I find, perceived as ignorance of the divine. Why? Because the divine can communicate. And I'm not trying to tell people that in some sense you can it's good to communicate with other dimensions or whatnot. It's like, this is the important thing I'm realizing. In ancient traditions, they would have this term, would be a very beautiful way of phrasing it, that you cultivate mastery. And I find that if I consider myself not to be a human being, I have an opportunity to cultivate mastery of human existence within a conscious experience. Do you understand? This world, I used to treat it as all or nothing. I used to treat this place as the ultimate place, like the only place there is, right? But the moment you realize the idea of potential energy, when you realize the notion that there are potentials, do you know how many things that can happen have not happened yet? Do you know how many things that can be said are waiting? They are waiting for speakers, This world is waiting. It's as if imagine there's imagine there's a very incredible, beautiful woman in front of you named Gaia, and she's waiting for you to see her. Do you see? And now, instead of a beautiful woman, it's a beautiful world. I have every time that anything happens that I consider it's like, what it is? There was this, I remember when I was a kid, oh my God. There was this show called Lassie, and it was like so freaking hilarious. When I was young, I didn't care about it, but when I got older, I started laughing so much. It was this show where there was this kid, he had a Labrador dog, I believe, and so this dog would go see like a house is burning on fire and run to this kid and bark at the kid like da 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 da, and then the kid would be like, what is it, boy? And the kid could interpret the dog's bark as the whole message. So the dog would come and bark like 4 times, and the kid would be like, oh my God, there's a fire, the neighbor's house is burning, oh my God, the neighbor's cheating on his wife. And so it was so, That was such an incredible thing, because the same thing is happening with the world. It's not like a dog that's barking. It's a universal event that is happening. And your opportunity as a conscious being to be separate from this anyways. Anyways, sorry guys, just had to do something. Alright, to continue. So, upon the realization of the incomplete effort towards an eternal completion of a temporary being on a rock in the middle of nowhere, now I will enter the title and the episode. And I want to say this, guys, be kind to everyone, because you might not know how you're being unkind sometimes, You might think you're being kind, but it might actually be the absence of kindness, I'm starting to realize what one person finds of course this is obvious, like in different cultural programs, different behaviors, moral relativism based on the experiences the individuals accumulate. But anyways, to dive into this episode. And this episode is interesting because I am tasked with explaining what if there was no death. So in this episode, Mr. Within is looking and trying to get the species to consider, if there was never death, imagine we didn't know such a thing existed. Imagine beings never had the idea of death. Imagine we knew what we were changing into after death, what we consider now as death. But I'm saying, imagine in a parallel universe, right, there was never a concept of death. There was just this concept that life is forever changing. You see, like as if life is an energy. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It changes from form to form. So in some sense, every time the form changes, the energy is thinking it's dying. Right? But this is the profound thing that, I would say it was, I found it to be a blessing that I realized from yogic wisdom and Vedic wisdom. Guys, I'm like, if you really look at my life, if you had an aerial view, like imagine there was a surveillance drone from the beginning of my life till now, you would see that I'm like this Persian guy. Okay, I was raised in a culture where I had no idea what meditation meant. I had no idea when you would ask, for example, monotheistic religion about the soul, they would say it's the secret of God, it's the mystery of God. Or at least in the Islamic tradition, there was this, I believe it was this hadith. It was this saying that it was as if somebody had asked the great prophet, what is the soul? And the prophet had responded something in the lines of that the soul has a rank, and there's a ranking system to souls, and souls of the same rank notice each other. But so that you have been given a permission to experience, like if you want to do something bad, you can at least see it in your mind, the outcome, or what you're going to do, and then do it, right? But the idea is you can experience the result in your mind before actually experiencing the result outside. So this way you don't have to do the evil thing, right? Plus you have to also have contextual philosophizing about it. What does that mean? You got to think about not just, what is the short-term gratification of my action, but what does my action do for the species? I'll give you an example. For example, me giving all these talks, right? I had to sit down and think about it like, there's gonna be billions and billions of people on this planet, and let's just go with the argument that, I don't know, let's say in like 50 years I'm not here anymore, okay? I don't know, like let's say at some point I've exited, and my lectures and my voice and all this stuff that I've communicated online is going to outlive me. So I was thinking, okay, I'm gone, so at least some of the problems my lectures can cause are done, right? So I mean, imagine these lectures I've given, right? Maybe in 100 years people are going to be like, incredible. Maybe the next 100 years they're going to be like, who is this fool? And then the next 100 years after they're going to be like, wow, somebody said it, and then 1,000 years later, oh my God, what did this guy do? And then 1,000 years later, oh my God, thank God there's somebody here. Do you understand? I have feelings of what the destiny of cyberspace is, and it is going to become indistinguishable from the fast pace that human consciousness is going to travel. So what it means is, right now in 2023, dear human beings, you are experiencing, I'll give you an example. Your body is going 50 miles per hour. Your mind is going 60 miles per hour. Your mind is living your inner life is faster than your outer life. Okay? Now, in the future, there is a chance, and the trend, the pattern is obvious right now, that the way human beings are functioning and happening, in the future, it's going to be like your mind is going to go 200 miles per hour, and because your body's going like 50 miles per hour, you're going to get bored of single bodyhood. Why do you think people wake up and check the news? Why do you think Marshall McLuhan warned everybody, but people were like, man. So people's minds are moving faster, will move faster than their bodies. So because of that, right? So if the mind moves 200 miles per hour, imagine, and your body's moving 50 miles per hour, you're going to get bored of being a biological entity. This is the path that Mr. Within sees right now. I can see this, right? That we're headed this way because of the information age. The information age was a catalyst towards the dehumanized remembrance of not a human being, but an energetic being. So you fear life, one can fear death because they think that they are a shape in a changing world. Let us visualize it. Let us visualize what a world without death would look like here. What? Go. Wrong window capture. There we go. All right. So let's do this. Let's figure this out. All right. So what did I write? What if and then I've also written what has an ego? What has an ego? We think the ego has the life, but the life has the ego. But anyways, so let's look at this. What if there was no death? Okay, what if there was no death? So I will bring calling death is not death. So this episode, this title, what if there was no death, we are looking at what death means. So death, here, let's look at the dictionary. So it says death, noun, the action or fact of dying or being killed, the end of the life of a person or organism, the state of being dead, the permanent ending of vital processes in a cell or tissue. Death, the personification of the power that destroys life, often represented in art and literature as a skeleton or an old man holding a scythe. The destruction or permanent end of something, a damaging or destructive state of affair. And then there's like phrases at death's door, especially in hyperbolic use, so ill that one might die. Be the death of, cause someone's death. That's another phrase used in the English language. Be in at the death. Be present when a hunted animal is caught and killed. Be present when something fails or comes to an end. And then there's another phrase, I didn't know this, it's called catch one's death. Catch a severe cold or chill. Okay, no way, I didn't know that. Okay, unique phrase. Do someone to death, kill oh my god. So do something to death, perform or repeat something so frequently that it becomes tediously familiar. A fate worse than death, a terrible experience, especially that of seduction or rape. Are you going to buy me a drink as well as rescuing me from a fate worse than that? Okay. And other phrases like death warmed over. The British way of saying it is like death warmed up, extremely tired or ill. Put someone to death. It says here, I'm reading the dictionary, guys. It says kill someone, especially with official sanction. Till death do us part. It's a phrase for as long as both people in a couple live, with marriage vows. And to death, it says, oh my god, guys, this is end. Oh, no. Death used to emphasize the extreme nature of a specific action, feeling, or state of mind. I'm sick to death of you. The story scared me to death. Yeah. So what does this mean? This means death equals stop. That's what it means. So if a conscious being in this world dies, it means the world, the universe is politely asking, like not asking, but in some sense that it's like the allotted time is up. Okay, it's an allotted time. Do you feel that? Am I the only human being that feels that? Like we have a limited opportunity for, like 100 years to do something? So anyways, somebody in the chat section says death is also transformation. Yeah, I mean, that's the point, right? If it's transformation, then it's not death. What we're considering death doesn't make sense, right? Death is the end, right? So for example, for the cell, it's when the cells are inactive. Right now there is some sort of life force that's like moving me as me, right? But the notion and this idea that things will end, I have wondered that should I fear my end or should I not? And my strategy is, if I live honestly, how can I fear? I think it was Manly P. Hall. It was somebody said in this lecture that he had spoken to a lot of people on their deathbeds, and the one regret that they had was that they were not kinder. They were not kinder to this world. This is a regret I also feel. I'm not even dead yet, and I'm not on my deathbed. I'm feeling this, right? That we miss out. But the cool thing about this life is, because it's as if the intention, it's as if something knew that people were going to be rude to each other. People were going to fight with each other. People were going to be vicious to each other. And based on this reasoning, it did not give us complete memory. If we had complete memory of everything, we might have so many enemies, because we might not be capable of letting go of some things, right? Sometimes, you go through an incident and then you wake up the next day and you forget about it, or you wake up like after a week, you're like completely, it's gone and you're not considering it. Right? So it's like the human being is designed to experience turbulence, but everybody's going to get to their destination, right? I treat, to be honest, when I was younger and more being a creature of my body than my mind, I mean, it was just like, it was like life was a zoo. But now it's not a zoo anymore, because there is civilized conscious behavior. There are ways of behavior how do I say it? There's something here, because it's moving. How can we interpret movement as just object, right? I mean, of course, when an object, the contrast, the measurement of like, okay, this thing was started in this point in the space-time continuum, went into that other point in the space-time continuum. Like, human beings have no problem getting in a car, traveling to another part of town, getting out of that vehicle, right? But because we don't treat our body as a vehicle, we forget that we are going somewhere. Do you understand? One of the most profound, the only way I feel my psyche managed to stop fearing death was because I accepted it as part of the design here. It's like, I didn't design the roller coaster, I'm just on it, right? But while I'm on the roller coaster, what is the point? It's like 8 billion beings on a giant roller coaster. They didn't create the roller coaster. They don't know when the roller coaster began. They don't know when the roller coaster will end. They're just on the roller coaster. Imagine 8 billion beings trying to like fit into one roller coaster seat. Right? That's the planet. So this is my whole urge, right? So many people, right? And they're gonna, I knew this. I honestly knew this, that in the future, both the spiritual and the secular community might give me slightly headaches, What I mean by this is that I am not here to validate the non-physical only or to validate the physical only. I am, like, believe it or not, like, I sometimes feel like a time-traveling lawyer that is here to defend the human species from its own destructive claims, from its self-destructive claims. Oh, guys, did I not fix this? What? Oh, no, it's fixed. All right. So, if there was no death, it would mean there is no fear, because you cannot lose. It is our death that makes us feel something can be lost, so then we become heroes and saviors and guardians and protectors, you know, and stewards of the universal sector and whatnot. You know, I'll be honest, I don't have a feeling like there was okay, for some reason in my psychology, I have a huge for royalty, huge affinity. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because I was a young kid and they told me like Iran had there was a lineage of kings in Iran or something. I don't know what it was, okay? But I think it was honestly the movie Gladiator. Something about me, I had a vision, and I'm not saying this is like accurate. I'm just saying I just had saw something in my inner realms about myself, that if I was born during medieval times, if I was born as a peasant, like villager peasant or something, do you know? And imagine I'd be this kid, you know, I'd walk around like carrying like a wagon of, I don't know, like bread or something, you know. I had this vision that if my consciousness had animated at medieval times, when there were kingdoms, where there were kings and queens, I would immediately go to the nearby kingdom, the kingdom I was born in, and immediately become part of like the guardians or like the imperial army, you know, to become someone who protects the most important value in that sector. The most important value in the Milky Way sector for now is the destiny of the human species, and many know this. Many not even here know this. The human species is like the talented footballer who all the football team is waiting for this guy to just enter the field. They're just waiting, you know, the whole cosmos is waiting for the human species to start accepting its existential game and playing it, rather than escaping the world that you might have come here, right? Imagine, right? Sometimes I saw this idea of renouncing this world for a better world to be in some sense a fallacy. Let me tell you why. I shared this hilarious story that this guy, you know, he decided to go, he found himself on Earth, and he's like, why am I on Earth? I know I'm not from here, right? So this guy climbs Mount Olympus, and with a unique odds, suddenly pokes his head above the clouds, and he sees all the gods are having a cocktail party or something, right? And then the guy puts his head above Mount Olympus, above the clouds, and says, guys, I made it to heaven, I made it to paradise. And all the gods look at him and they're like, buddy, good job for making it to paradise, but you went down. You went to Earth. You wanted to go to Earth. This is the difference between all those beings who don't know where they are. Those who know where they are and have ability in this world is because their intention was to come here, to do something here. But those beings who are just on an, like, let's say, escalator ride, then in some sense you have been out of your will brought here. And sure, it appears that way, but I'm telling you, your consciousness has the capability to make a decision here. You might not believe it, but what if you have entered this world not to just have the world make decisions for you? What if you have come here to realize you are also capable of being what you are, rather than renouncing it, rejecting it, running away from it, thinking it's impure, thinking that some being dehumanized is purer. Being dehumanized is purer because there is no human archetype to be impure. That's why. The moment you're not a person, you could do anything you want. That's the tragedy. Human civilization is dependent on the work quality of the work of human beings. And the only intent why I have this kind of like constant like an alarm clock, you know, you press snooze and it's like the next day you hear it again, this alarm, this sort of feeling that we should be doing something as a species, every one of us, and due to our misguided rationale of, yo, I'm just a little being here, I gotta do something little, I guess, right? That rationality has denied the species the greatness that it must strive for. Your acceptance of truth might sometimes deny the further understanding of the truth. Do you understand the tragedy? You know, I was looking at atheist and theist debate, and I was like, yo, I was expecting the atheists to take an angle which they never did, right? And to me, the atheist and theist are the same. They're both accepting a singular storyline. Is it that easy? Was God such a simple-minded entity that he created just one story for human mind to understand? The creator is beyond our fathoming, and we fathom it and think we're divine. You see, unless you accept that there's the unknown is greater than the known, your knowledge may devour you. I've experienced this. I've had moments where my opinions on life have bit me back. I've been scolded by the divine, by the unknown. Once I said something in a lecture, and once I was about to say something, I was in Edwards Gardens, this place in Toronto. I was sitting on a rock, holding my phone like a maverick, I did some next level things, right? I was literally sitting on a rock in a river, holding my phone. Literally, if my grip was loose, my phone would have fallen in the water. And I remember I was saying something, and right before I said the next part, in my inner realms, they told me, you're not authorized to say that. Don't say that. And I did it. I just diverted. I went to a different topic. You know, sometimes even when I come to speak about something, when I suddenly blank, because when I speak, the way I experience my mind is that, I mean, now I've kind of, it's very visual for me. When somebody speaks, like my mind makes attempts to make that into a film, and then I can remember forever pretty much what, like, as well, you know, as long or whatnot. So anyways, guys, my laptop's at 5% battery. Thank you for listening. There's more to this idea. Tonight I'm gonna finish part 2 of the last night's episode, the Advanced Communicators one. You know, I think this is like maybe something in life where if life has given you something, you don't appreciate it, you know, it might go away, and then you realize what you had, maybe. I don't know. that's I think this lifetime has been more about me becoming content with the unknown rather than finding some knowledgeable certainty. It's a changing world. You know what? It's like I have a belief today. Like tomorrow, I might not be the same person having the same belief. Do you understand? Like the belief could be the same, right? But you are not the same being. So the belief, how can the belief be the same? This is why I think religion says have faith. Because God is not some conceivable entity that you conceptualize and then believe in, and then tomorrow when you've changed, you have to readjust your belief. No. It's an inconceivable being. That's why the only relationship with God is faith. Like I do understand there is prayer, right? But prayer is like the mind's relationship with the divine. The soul's relationship with the divine is pure faith. Pure faith. Do you understand? This means that the most advanced beings in this world are the world itself. They are not beings in a world. That's psyche. That's a psychic construct. Anyways, thank you for listening. What if there was no death? And what has an ego? If the ego is defining, then what has an ego is unknown. I'm pretty much saying, I thought we were known beings in a known world. We're actually unknown beings in an unknown world. And this is due to honesty. So I will say, this might sound bizarre and many people may get offended, but I will say it. Everybody that thinks that they have found or they are knowing the divine, if you don't know that it's unknown, you don't know. Thank you for listening. Rise, mankind, rise. And advanced civilization is the future's birthright. That's why this voice is here now. I'm not here to tell you, tell your soul what to do. The soul is beyond the objects and subjects I can show you. Do you see? This is why for me, when somebody says, I have a guru, I'll be like, yeah, man, great, you have a guru, but you're still a conditional entity, so this being has to incarnate next lifetime to give you permission to be enlightened. That's what happens. If you go and worship a guru in this lifetime, you are claiming that you are willing your mind to become part of their mind. When you do this, you lose the authority of your soul, and that guru gets a greater authority over your soul. So you actually become their minion. And when I realized this, I got such an impure feeling. Even the guy could be a kind-hearted soul, and everybody's like, yo man, I know you didn't want to be a guru, but we all want to acknowledge you as a guru. If that guy says yes, he has allowed you to worship people. Never worship people. Because they don't even know what to worship themselves. Never worship people. It is cruelty to your species, and its karmic rendition will be there. And spiritual people may be like, yo man, what do you mean? That's an enlightened guru. You talk about enlightened gurus. Do you know why shouldn't I go and spend 10 years with that enlightened guru? I will tell you why. Because oh my God. Because you are freer than that. You are freer than another entity telling you how to be an entity. The authorization of that being, I had this thing, this discussion I had with this, man, this song changed fast. If I was a mightier being than I am now, I would declare war on all inefficiency in this universal sector. I would command all the lesser worlds to assist humanity, and all the upper worlds already know what they must do. All lower worlds, maybe sunbeams of the upper world you might through the cracks of the lower world see. But humanity's agenda is divine. And no idea or object can stop what must happen. And even like, should we die with our least effort? Do we want to die as happy beings? Happy, you were happy, you did some things only? Do you feel, or can you even hear the heartbeat of all those children who haven't been born yet? Can you see their minds? Can you see their mistakes? Can you see the failures of some beings will be born on this planet only to fail? And all those who claim, I love the world, I'm love, I'm pure love, they're loving what they see. You are the lowest level entity of love. You have not understood anything. If you love this world and you think that you are loving what you see, a religion of a multidimensional being is pure faith of being. Pure faith doesn't mean the world needs your artificial love. It doesn't mean anybody needs your artificial love. I mean, it's important, of course. You gotta care.